helping to overcome deep-rooted psychological trauma similar to PTSD and including PTSD using the yoga sciences is something that I believe will work very effectively together with, of course, traditional medicine. And as many of you know, that I am a master level bioenergy healer specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, doing my therapies remotely, and also attending to various types of very serious problems and illnesses that are difficult for people to overcome when they come to a crossroads or they come to a brick wall and they feel nothing's happening. They need to do something different and add on certain extra measures. And adding additional measures together with your traditional methods that you're currently using through allopathic medicine makes a lot of sense, and many people are adding that because medicine alone and surgery alone is not going to help you. You need your lifestyle, and you need, nutrition plays a role. The company you keep, your thoughts, your state of mind, and also science has made many advancements from the yogic sciences perspective on the mild benefits, which is what they've able to prove so far, and they haven't been able to prove any major benefits because it's very difficult to control. However, there are people who have more experience and expertise in the field of yoga and in the yogic sciences that can direct you responsibly into helping you to improve. This particular talk was motivated by a podcast that I had listened to with Joe Rogan. I think it was on the 15th or 16th of August that it was aired. He interviewed a musician. He's a drummer. I think his name is Mark. I'm not 100% sure about his name, but it's around the 16th, 17th of August 2026. And this particular person had been through a plane crash, and he suffered between 65 and 70% burnt. His body was 65 to 70% burnt. When he was hospitalized for about 6 months, he underwent about 30 surgeries, skin grafting, and also the burns were so severe they were even considering at one stage to amputate one of his legs, feeling that it will not heal. There's not enough skin or cover to help him to heal, epidermis, or a layer to cover the blood vessels and the nerves that are inside. And he recently created a documentary which is now available in Google, and you can watch the documentary. And he himself was part of the documentary, and he still mentions that to this day he feels extreme trauma and trepidation whenever facing the prospect of taking a flight or going to a flight. And there were many years that he could not even enter a flight. And while making the documentary, he went through great pain and suffering. So from my perspective, why is this so difficult to treat PTSD, from any science, right, perspective? And you have to consider what actually happened. What actually happened was, in the plane crash, it was a very fearful incident, and also he lost some of his closest friends that were like brothers to him. So after he had survived it and came out of it, he was at a very great loss, right? And also during the situation when the flight was going down, people were screaming, and there was a lot of emotional trauma attached, and fear. When you go into fear, panic, your sympathetic system kicks in, and it's a fight or flight system, and your frontal cortex closes off, and your id brain, your primitive brain, takes over. Your fine coordination movements are over, cannot be done, and you go into a very primitive part of your mind, right? And this primitive part of mind is recording everything, and is recording the screams, and your fear and your panic in that time is exacerbated or made worse by the screams of the people around you. And this is the reality, not a movie, it's a reality incident. And then when it actually crashes, and when you don't remember the actual crash, because your subconscious blocks a very traumatic incident, right? People dying around you, everything is caught on fire, and you are burning, your skin is burning, your mind will block this off, because you are burning and you are screaming and you are in pain, and in that pain and misery you're hearing other people also screaming, the smell of charred flesh. This is something your subconscious mind is there to protect you. It blocks off your conscious mind completely, but the incident is happening and the recording in your subconscious mind. So when you come out of the incident, right, and you are fully recovered, or you are taken to the hospital, you are now going for 30 operations. He said the first 25 he didn't know what was happening. He didn't know, he wasn't aware, he was not conscious, right, of it, because his subconscious was blocking all that, right? When you go for an operation, you're thinking that you are unconscious. You are not unconscious. Your conscious brain is shut off. Not you are still aware. Your subconscious is fully aware, 100% aware. If we learn to hypnotize you professionally, we can take you to that incident of the operation and of the incident that is blocked in your conscious mind during the flight or the traumatic incident, the paths that are blocked off. We can take you there and make you. Now, why it's blocked off is because it's so extreme. It's completely unbearable for the conscious mind. So it's influencing it negatively and protecting your conscious and protecting you by creating the fear of not going back to that type of situation. So you know that in this particular instance, you was in a flight and the flight crashed. Your subconscious figures out that you must never go into a flight again. And if you're going to go or think of going into a flight, create great fear in you and trauma that makes you, to have the most miserable experience, to prevent you from ever being exposed to such a horrific thing again. And even when you are undergoing an operation under anesthetic, anesthetic shuts off the conscious mind. So most of the anesthetists, they say very clearly that they do not fully understand what is happening when they're putting people under anesthetic. And it's something very dangerous, to keep putting someone multiple times under anesthetic, right? So that is the only way that they can do, is to be able to prevent you from moving your body while they are cutting open certain delicate areas and attending to, patching up a certain fine section, and they need fine coordination movement. They can't have you moving around and kicking and screaming. So to quieten you down so that they can work properly, in order to cut in and do the surgery. So that is important. But you are feeling the pain, your body is feeling the pain of the scalpel cutting through, and whatever words is being spoken to is all being recorded in your subconscious mind, right? You can go deep into the once science or tradition that that talks a lot about this in detail is the one that is propagated now currently with Tom Cruise as the president of the organization or current leader of that organization called Scientology. So, I mean, we're not asking you to have any belief, but read up a version of it. And whatever you read, measure it with what is currently published in the psychology sciences. Must always measure from all angles, right? And also, I mean, all these people can have their theories. You can yourself undergo hypnosis without going under hypnosis by another person, yourself, calming yourself, and try to do regression therapy on your own. And remember, it's your own memory, right, that you can go into, right? So if you follow the instructions of Scientology or use someone or use a hypnotherapist to help you, to remember and to start do regression therapy, because they are qualified psychologists that are qualified also to hypnotize and help you to regress into the blocked memories, right? And take you there in a safe environment and slowly. And some people now are using psychedelics to assist in that, right? So they're using mushrooms and DMT, and there are certain clinically approved chemicals that you can do under the supervision of a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist is able to prescribe and administer controlled psychedelic substances to assist, in these processes. So one of the things that helps you to overcome your programming, normal programming, normal subconscious programming, where people feel that they're stuck, they keep repeating the same behavior and they can't come out of it. It's like they're going around and around the mulberry bush, right? Or like they're running on the spot. And no matter what happens, 1 year, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, decades are going, and no matter what you're trying, you seem to be stuck in that cycle, and you want to elevate yourself to the next level. And it's obviously your psychological programming that's helping that. So one of the things that work is they found the one that breaks through is to be in love. When you are in love, then your psychological program, your subconscious programming gets broken through. You are able to overcome during that period when you are in love. You can climb the highest mountain, swim the 7 seas, 7 oceans, and you can do almost the impossible, right? When you are in love or very deep emotions, someone really insulted you to the limit. This is it. If anything, I'm going to show a point to this person. It's that he's insulted me so badly, that even if it means me dying, trying, I'm going to try and come out of it and show a point to this person that I can be so successful, right? So I was, someone who study these type of deeper lifestyle improvement, lifestyle changes, lifestyle management, lifestyle habits, hacks, like the Tony Robbins courses, the Mind Valley courses, mindfulness and visualizations and so forth, right? All these things have some effect with the repetition, right? So if you're not in love, if you do something that you love, also helps, or a repetition also helps, right? But when it comes to very deep-rooted things, this is difficult. So this particular interview with Joe Rogan, this guy, which we'll call Mark for now, his passion he's a musician and he's a drummer. So they told him he will not be able to do drumming again because his muscles were so badly atrophied and burnt and damaged and nervous system damaged that he would not be able to, do these fine coordination movements and sustain the level of athleticity that is involved to be a professional drummer, but soon as he was discharged from hospital, his wounds were still in scabs. He went out and he started, because that was his passion. That was something he was doing from childhood, practicing 2 to 5 hours a day from childhood. And so it's something that he loved, and when he did his drumming, he felt good, and if it was therapeutic. Of course, he's doing something he loves, and he was surrounded by a supportive wife and children. So his children is so amazing, spending time with his children growing up, and spending time with his wife, and spending time going to vacation spots. He went on vacation. He didn't want to go by flight. I think he went to Italy, from New York City to Italy by ship, 10-day ship. And he said it was quite boring and also quite frightening because there were 30-foot high waves. But of course, it wasn't the same. I mean, at that time, he could not even think of entering a flight, right? But he said it's not that much safer, but he was working out, and he likes running, and he likes working out, fitness training, and he used to run for like 2 hours a day, and working out totally about 4 hours a day. And there's a lot of good sides and good things that happen. But it was 10 days of just nothing. You only see oceans. And when you start seeing seagulls and birds, you're nearing land and so forth. But other than that, it was a different type of experience, right? So if doing what you love, being around people that you love, having that support is something that's going to help you, how come to this day, which is now about, I think this incident happened, I believe, in 2008. It's now 2026 that the documentary is complete. In the interview with Joe Rogan, he still feels that fear, right? 18 years, despite doing all these therapies, natural therapies of that. So why is it so? I mean, why can't it release? Because your subconscious mind is blocking something that is really extreme. You are burning alive. 70% of your body is burnt. Imagine that trauma that you've been through, right? How deep that trauma is. One is lucky to survive. Most of the other people couldn't handle the same level, the same incident that they've been through, and the level of pain that they died from it. And he survived from it, right? So he had something that was in him, some inner strength that helped him to pull through, maybe some emotional thing or some people that he had and he wanted to live for, and he was fighting, for his life, that inner strength. When now I'm a bioenergy healer, doing, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses. Some patients, a very small percentage in my experience, in my practice, right? Doesn't mean this is illustrative of what is possible for the people at large, but I'm doing it for a long time, for about 50 years. Thousands of people I've assisted, right? And my success rate, personal success rate, from my experience is well over 90%, right? And but not 100%. So irrespective, if someone comes, I can even be 99% successful, but when a person comes, I don't say, hey, more or less you're going to get the risk, the chance of me healing any person is still 50-50, right? I never know who will survive. The people I believe that will never survive, survives. The people I was sure must survive, they did not survive, right? We don't know, but what I feel and suspect, because I'm in tune with people's inner thoughts, their energy, and also studying many NDEs for decades, right? From the time I first went to medical school and started to study that I knew and I heard of this book. I forgot the name of the doctor, the Swedish doctor. She wrote the book on death and dying, right? And she did over 20,000 experiments on those who died and came back to life on the operating table, right? And so after that, I mean, it's not important which the doctor's name, but the book is still available in on death and dying. And also many other reports over the decades came through. Now NDEs, near-death experience, is a massive phenomenon, right? That people go into it, And there seems to be a choice in many cases whether a person wants to come back or not. So if you listen to Buddha the gas pump, there are some cases, many cases, there is two that I heard of from his 759 interviews. I only listened to a handful of the interviews, maybe 30 or 40 of those interviews, right? And so he is obviously interviewing a lot of people. So there were two where when they died, they had a near-death experience. And then they were given the choice, do you want to go back or you want to stay? And they looked back and they felt that they could contribute something to society and wanted to help and make some difference and help people in general and wanted to come back for that. And that was the common factor. So in the terminal illness case, where the person is fighting for his life, so obviously it is not inconceivable that they may have a choice and they may have decided not to come back, right? There was two people very close to me, right, that I lost. I did energy for them and I lost them, right? They were probably emotionally the two closest people, closer than my own parents, right? That I could say in my life that I had this strong, you have the strong bond with some people that were really special people, right? You have some people who are really special that really made a special difference in your life. And I was doing the energy, they were, fighting for their life in ICU, right? And I could not save them, both of them, right? And the one case where the doctors mentioned that he had a burst vessel in the brain, that even if he had come back, he would have been a vegetable. The second one is that the person was suffering, was the second time. The first time they became very ill, I was able to save them. And this was now about 2 years later, right? That I was told the last minute when they were in the ICU already, before they became sick and everything, right? They were already in ICU and they needed to go for heart surgery, and the kidneys were completely collapsed. They were under dialysis, and and even when I did the energy and saved them the last time, I gave them advice on how to manage their diabetes and their health, to try to help the body to, from a nutritional perspective, because it makes a difference, especially in following certain type of dietary restrictions when you have certain conditions, right? And but they did not want to follow it, and they were elderly, and they don't want to change their habits, and you can't force people to take these dietary protocols. And they also was not very not in a very happy situation in their life, right? So as they were living, both these people, they were like isolated, and if you meet them, you'll feel very depressed because they were disappointed by their own family and life was very hard for them. So I don't like to use the word life is hard for anyone. I like to say they took life very badly, right? Because everyone meets challenges. Yes, challenge may seem that some people has greater challenges, but it's from our perspective that some people's is higher and other people's is lower. But from the person who's experiencing the challenge, they have the ability, I believe, to be able to overcome it or accept it, right? So it's good for me to speak theoretically, but when I was 19 years old, and this is after my first enlightenment experience, right? More than a year after my enlightenment experience, I would say. And I met someone who was very religious, in university, and he said there's a verse and I was speaking about some struggles or something, right? And he said there's a verse in the Bible, in the book of Matthew, that stated, at the time I was not, I mean, I was open-minded in terms of religion. I wasn't a Christian or anything, right? But he was just talking, and he was a practicing Christian. So he mentioned the book, there's never a time will come where you'll suffer a burden greater than your ability to bear, right? And also he mentioned the poem by Anonymous called Footprints in the Sand, right? Which you can also, go into Google or ask ChatGPT, get the link and read the poem, right? Basically paraphrased, it is a person had a dream that he saw his life, that there were always two sets of footprints, but he noticed that during the very difficult stages of his life, there's only one set of footprints. And in the dream, towards the end, he asked, he said, and he felt that the second set of footprints belonged to God, right? And he said, "Oh Lord, why did you abandon me during my most difficult stages?" Because in the difficult stages, he felt there was only one set of footprints in the sand, and that he was alone, right? And then the voice came back and said, "No, my child, that one set of footprints that you saw is my set of footprints. It was in that time I was carrying you," right? And when you read it, that poem, it's so moving, and I never forgot that poem, right? But then I said, this is coming from, like, the book of Matthew is a Bible, and there's 2.3 billion people currently believing in it, and that time also, like, at least half the world is believing in it. There's a very strong likelihood there's some truth in what's there. And this is an interesting thing that is coming in a spiritual book about life challenges. Let me see in my life if this is true or not, because I'm now young and I'm going to face life. So no matter what difficulty I face, I was able to work through it or overcome it. So eventually I'm now an entrepreneur for 30 years, right? And when we in business, and the core is sales, you have to make sales in order to have cash flow, right? And sometimes you go through a stage of sales where there's no matter you're going for interviews, you're going seeing clients, you're doing presentation, nothing is closing, no deal is closing. So we have a saying in sales, when we're going through the dip, we don't say sales is bad, we work through it, because sales is go up and down. We're just going through a dip. And we just have to, if we stay in the dip and get depressed that no sales are closing, and stop our prospecting and presentations, if we stop that activity, we will worsen the situation. It's like when you are driving long distance. So typically I'm from South Africa. I used to live in Johannesburg, and we had family in the city of Durban, which was like about 600-kilometer drive. And regularly, at least once a month or once in 2 weeks or so, at least once a month, we used to go to visit family, because my wife was very close to her parents, and her parents also lived in that city. So I used to make sure that I take them, and my children miss their grandparents as well. So we take them. So driving down, we pass through certain cities that is renowned for heavy mist. Heavy mist, and you have to slow down. So some people, the mist is so heavy and thick, is you can't see the next vehicle. If you're going to be driving, it's dangerous, you're going to knock into the vehicle. So you'll only see the next vehicle when it's just almost you're going to hit it. So you can't even drive fast. So some people stop on the side of the road waiting for the mist to rise, because it's like very early hours of the morning or something. But we have a philosophy that we drive through it, right, to get through it, because if we're going to stay stuck in it, it's going to take many hours before the mist can lift, right? But if we drive through it, within about 30 minutes, we're going to pass that section. So sometimes there's very heavy rain. We drive through the storm. We don't park our car to the side. Some people park the car to the side until the storm stops, right? But we drive through it slowly. We put the hazards on, we put our fog lights on, and we just drive slowly through it. And suddenly we see a vehicle in front, and there are some vehicles that are driving, some vehicles stopped. The one that stopped, you lengthen the period of your delay. And so we just drive through the storm, or we work through the dip. So we come through certain challenges, very difficult, right? I had two people who were very close to me. They lost their son, right? The child, 21-year-old son, they lost. How sad is that, right? And you love, and and it so happened that these two, sons were amazing characters, right? Everyone loved them, like everyone loves Raymond, like that type of thing. There was no one, they had such pleasing personalities. Why does this have to happen? Both died in car accidents. And both the parents, mother and the father, they couldn't get over it. The mothers, usually in both the cases, took minimum 5 years before they could function normally. They could not even talk of the incident. They couldn't even work properly, right? The marriage relationship went through a very difficult period as well. They couldn't be normal, right? That's how difficult it is. But they went through the motions and they went out through it, and you have to work through it. It took 5 years to come out of it, right? So when I went through the difficulty of building my business, the first time I went into entrepreneurship, 6 years dry patch, because I'm going from an employee to a self-employed. It's not easy to be self-employed, right? Your mindset is, the majority of people is employee mindset. Employee mindset don't work with self-employed mindset or business mindset. And self-employed mindset is a different mindset from business, a big business mindset, which is a different mindset from the highly wealthy, the investor mindset. Right? Investor mindset is different, big business mindset is different, self-employed mindset is different, and employed mindset is different. So it is not about the difficult, it is changing your mindset. The thing that made the difference, that changed me in the 6-year dry patch into making $1 million a month for the next 4 years, right? In that market, was my mindset and working. And I knew I needed to do something with and I kept training, going for every training course. Eventually, the last training course, it's not that was the perfect training course. It was just one more that I needed. So it was building up, and building my inside strength. And it helped me to go through it, right, that difficulty, and overcome it. And also together with, I'm practicing yoga and meditation. So I went through it with strength of character. I was never very depressed. When people met me, I was very happy, smiling guy, social guy, no matter what problem I was going through. Yes, sometimes I was depressed. Even now, sometimes I feel emotionally moved, but it lasts about 5 to 15 minutes, right? Minutes, not even days, right? Very rarely I go through that 5 to 15 minutes. And then I, refocus my mind on something. I use the tools. There are tools, especially with self-development courses. They give you tools on how to overcome. It doesn't work in extreme trauma, but it's a tool that's there that's going to help you to manage it when you, together with other tools, with psychiatric. So I've got one friend that has got a psychiatric disorder. Not only friend, I've got a lot of clients that I deal with, with psychosis and so forth. So I always encourage that they must use in conjunction with medical treatment, right? So psychiatrist has got special, drugs that can give you that blocks off the pathway to help you to cope, right? Because you need coping mechanism. You can't cope, you can't manage life, right? Every day, because you are in this spiral and it's like so traumatic. Your day becomes 24/7 that you can't even survive, that you contemplating suicide, right? These people are, and so they resort to chakra unblocking, energy healing. That alone is not working, right? So in conjunction with psychiatric help, all these things together works, right? So I'm trying to say that when you are having this extreme trauma, don't neglect the allopathic medicine that is available as well, right? And also you get, activities that can help you in, doing the things you love, and going out into the world and going into nature, and all these things help. And also the one tool from the yoga sciences, which is, I believe, very, very instrumental, that can especially when we look at this example of 18 years, the person is still feeling the fear. Had he adopted yoga meditation on my simplified protocol method, right? My method. And if he spoke to me, and even if he speaks to me now, right? And devise a program for him that is achievable, in the next few years, he will be completely over it, right? So I had a mild trauma. I was, I think, around 2 or 3 years old, right? Because the trauma I could remember, I was standing on the stop of, I just learned how to walk, right? And we were living in a house where it was a double-story house. The bedrooms were upstairs on the upper floor, and the living spaces and the kitchen and the sink was downstairs, right? So I was sleeping, and I woke up and I found myself alone, and I wanted to go down. So I was still groggy, and I stood on top of, there was a flight of 10 stairs. So I stood at the top of the stairs and I looked down, and I still remember the incident. My head started to spin. Not more than 4 years old. I was under 4 years because my younger brother, I'm 4 years older than my younger brother. My younger brother was not yet born, right, at that time. And I felt my head spinning when I was looking down, right? Like how when you're standing at the edge of a tall building. And I lost my balance and I fell face forward and bust my mouth and my lips. It was very painful. And I injured my teeth. My teeth were strong. I didn't lose my teeth or anything. But that injury deformed the slight angle of the tooth, that when it was time for that tooth to come out, it was not coming out. It was wedged in firm, right? So I remember that we had to go to the dentist to have it removed, and there was an abscess because the new tooth was already growing and this tooth was not coming out, right? And the doctor said he couldn't do put an anesthetic there, a local anesthetic, because of the abscess. And I was into martial arts at the time. And my father said, no, he's into karate and he's a martial arts guy. He's a strong guy. And I said, okay, you can handle the pain? I said, yes, I can. And he removed that, and I took the pain of him prying out this wedged in front major, tooth. And after that, the new tooth grew crooked and I had to have braces done and so forth. And when you wear braces, that thing is moving the teeth is very painful. Sometimes it's like at night you're sleeping, you're feeling the pain. And when I grew up, I always had a fear, we'll say abnormal, a higher, fear of heights, right? So where I couldn't go near a window or anything. And there's this one beautiful mountain called the Drakensberg Mountains in Cape Town in South Africa. And you can go at the edge and you can see the whole of Cape Town and the clouds are below you. Man, do I go. If I go, I can't even go to the edge of a building. I say, please, please, please. I go into extreme, even as an adult, I go into extreme fear. I was around 30 years old. I said, no, I want to get over this fear. Right? And I went to the edge, and so I'm practicing yoga meditation for a long time. Still I had the fear. So understand, it's not like automatically this fear going to go with the practice. You also need to do some work. It's conjunction with you doing the work itself and together with other activities. That's why I'm mentioning this. So especially something very severe like a burn, it's going to need time as well, right? All the therapies together. But what the breathwork method does, it's the pivot. I had a specialist breathwork teacher. He was specialized only in breathwork, right? He says there is 10 million years of subconscious trauma embedded in your subconscious mind. And people say, how are you going to have 10 million years? What nonsense is that? Especially if you don't believe in reincarnation and all that, right? So, of course, science has now shown that we have genetic memory and we also have evolutionary memory, right? Evolutionary memory means that we remember, what tribe we belong to, right? Dark skin tribe, or the type of nose, or the height, right? Genetically, we have certain muscle structure, certain framework, which is genetically influenced, right? Or evolutionarily, that we don't grow a tail, that we are human, right? Evolutionary memory, that we don't suddenly have a half fish body and a half amphibian and half human, or half reptile, half fish, right? So we have evolutionary memory and we have genetic memory. They've proven scientifically up to 7 generations prior, trauma that someone had 7 generations previously, trauma, is going to affect you in this. You've never been through that trauma. It's going to affect you here. You don't know what trauma people 7 generations ago had. You don't even know who's your great grandparents. Some people don't even know don't even know what happened in their parents' lives. They are so withdrawn from the parents' lives, and society has become so broken. You don't even care who's your grandparents and find out about their life stories and so forth. Imagine 7 generations ago someone had a trauma. You don't know what trauma they had. It's going to affect you, right? So the pranayama is like using a high pressure hose to remove this trauma out very gently, within a way in which your conscious mind can withstand. You take it out millimeter by millimeter by millimeter. And that's why they say it's very difficult for you to make progress in yoga. That some people, for reaching enlightenment level, all these traumas must be completely removed. There must be a balance between your main spiritual energy channels on either side of your spine, parallel to your sympathetic and parasympathetic system, related to your vagus nerve, your left side representing your parasympathetic system, your calming and relaxing system, and your fight or flight, your right, listening to your sympathetic nervous system for emergency, your aggressive, so your Ida and your Pingala nadis, right? So this needs to be fully cleansed, and they are associated with, in some traditions, it's a 72,000 subtle pathways, right? And people believe that 72,000 is such a high number, but there are other authoritative traditional Vedic books, right? I think I forgot the name of the books. If you go into the Serpent Power of Arthur Avalon, which is the pen name of Sir John Woodroffe, who wrote this book in 1918, he did an in-depth study, and he quoted the name, references of it. So you don't have to go and actually read it. You can quote it to ChatGPT and ask, how many, which books representing. So there's some books that says not only 72, there is 300,000 of the subtle pathways, and another authoritative book says 350,000 pathways, right? Subtle energy pathways, and some of the grosser ones are parallel or related to your nervous system, right? And it's not representing the nervous system. These are subtle pathways, right? So these needs to be cleansed now, and then, so the people statistically that because I'm teaching yoga meditation now for 45 years, practicing for over 50 years, but teaching for 45 years. In that period, I've taught to students in over 100 countries, right? In that time, and thousands of students. And how I was able to teach so many students is that I always had my live classes free of charge, because I'm passionate about yoga and meditation, and if you're having a class for free, it's not difficult for you to find students, right, to attend classes for free, or so you would think. 50% of the time that I was running my classes were empty with 0 students, but I still ran the class. Maybe someone will come in late and so forth, right? So it's a field that not many people are interested in those days, but I believe that has changed in the current time, in the 21st century now, post-COVID. 1 in 8 Americans are practicing or have practiced some form of yoga, right? Which is amazing, right? Previously it was 2 per 3 or 4 per 2 per 10,000, I think, right? 2 per 10,000, and the 2 per 10,000 that actually can reach enlightenment level is actually 3 or 4 per 1 million, right? Per 1 million. And so it's not easy to attain. So people who are practicing up to 18 hours a day, right, it's only 3 or 4 per 10 million is going to attain enlightenment level. That's how difficult it is, because it is crammed into you. But it is something that can help you to progress, and if you progress and become proficient in it, it can lead you to the next higher level of advanced pranayama technique called the Kriya technique, which is like a turbo powerhouse. A turbo powerhouse that can obliterate the deeply embedded psychoses in you and help you to overcome it, right? So we haven't done scientific research on this. There has been some science done where box breathing in the University of California helps in removing, helping you to deal with anxiety and stress, and also reverse aging or longevity, helps in longevity, as well as boosting your immune system, fighting very serious illnesses, right? People who are struggling with, terminal illnesses and so forth. Adding the breath work, especially the box breathing or the Wim Hof method, right? Use the Wim Hof method. You don't want to use, the other method. But the method that I use and teach is taught from an authentic book, which is considered a highly authentic book in the Indian scriptures, called the Tirumandiram, estimated to be around 2,000 years old. And every word there is considered to be a revelation by someone who is said to have a deathless body. They didn't know him, to have died, and it's claimed that he's still alive to this day, and he's probably hidden in some cave or somewhere away from, people deep in meditation, or gone into a meditative samadhi trance. When you go into it, and the body is decomposed, dematerialized, and is only existing in a part of the body that you can't physically see with your physical eyes, and you can make it visible, to some people, as are some of the traditions of Maha-Avatar Babaji, right, as explained by Yogananda in his world-famous book called Autobiography of a Yogi. So you can read that book. It's written in the 1950s or 60s, and it's still available today in all major airports as well. You can find it, right? And people are still buying it. It's still a trending book that's for sale. And there are people, who through the breathwork method or meditation method, because meditation is a mild form. What actually happens in meditation, so I'm not saying only pranayama, it's a whole group of activities that work together. When you sit in meditation and you calm your mind, right? You sit comfortably on a couch, right? Just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and just relax. Totally relax your mind. Use some type of guided meditation, like mindfulness, or a guided meditation that's like a voice, like a 20-minute program, right? Or a 10-minute program that's guiding you, saying you to be calm, and you're walking on the seashore, and you can hear the waves. So these are known scientifically to help you, and it's got frequencies as well, theta frequencies, different binaural beats as well. People listen to that, and it helps them to calm down and practice calming, especially when you're sleeping, right? When you're sleeping, all these things help you in calming. All these things are going to be helpful. So when you're sitting in meditation and practicing meditation, what really happens is cosmic energy is flowing in through the top energy opening in your crown of your head, called your Brahmarandra, right? So it is an energy center. So it's not only your 7 major energy channels that are in your body. There are, according to Arthur Avalon, multiple along between the 7 energy centers. So between the 7th chakra and the 6th chakra, he delineates in his book, The Serpent Power, at least 6 or 7 other chakras in between, and he names them and what their average locations are. And the one on the skull, the pericap of the 7th chakra, the footstool of the 7, on the skull, this in yogic sense called the Brahmarandra, right? It enters through that opening. So if you have to do an animated, like the Avatar movie, an animated movie to show this depiction, right, is like a white smoke coming in from the cosmic energy entering, and it's flowing into all the channels of the psychic channels, the nadis of your body, and there's like black smoke, which is the subconscious matter. It's going and clearing that black smoke. So meditation is going and filling your body, and as you're advancing in meditation, your channels are fully cleared by that time, and you attain enlightenment level, right? Slowly your chakras or your main powerhouses become activated, all your subtle life forces. So you become like a Christmas tree lighting up. So by default, everyone has 21 energy centers that are active by default, but there is a total of 114, right, in total. So there's about 93 more that are dormant, right, in you. And through the practice of yoga sciences, you unblock them by unblocking your subtle pathways. So unblocking your subtle pathways means the subconscious programming is unblocked, including your PTSD, your trauma, right, is included, which is also there, right? It helps to, when you have extreme trauma, this becomes hardened. So when you go to people like energy healers who are on a professional level like myself, right, so I can forcefully remove it with saving you 10, 15, 20 years, right? There was some of my clients, there was one client that I had, like normally in one session I'm able to do completely unblock all the chakras, right? When I unblock, I don't just unblock your 7 major chakras, I unblock all 114, and I get feedback from you that it's all unblocked. Because this energy that I pass through, it feels like a refrigerator, and it feels like a cold energy. So you will also see your 7 major chakras, you'll see like light flashing through your mind's eye, the 7 different colors of the rainbow. And as each color flashes by, means the 7 major chakras are now unblocked. So now I've got the major framework, and now I have to just wait for all the minor chakras. How I know the minor is, you start freezing. First, it will be one side of the body that your hand is freezing, on your right hand only, and then both your right hand and left hand, then your left leg and the right leg, and your toes, up to your toes is freezing. So it gradually permeates and penetrates and penetrates and penetrates. Eventually your whole body is freezing, and it can be a hot summer's day. You can be in the desert in Dubai, 50 degrees Celsius, and unbearable heat, but you will be shaking, vile, shivering. Person will be shivering, and the coldness is through, means all 114 chakras are now unblocked. That coldness, that energy has the feeling of coldness, has gone through. So I send the moon energy, right? So the Kundalini energy has got 3 levels. It's got the moon level, the fire level, and the sun level. Fire level is when someone going to Shakti Path, and they put it in and they fall unconscious from it. And for some people also attain the sun level, and the sun level is totally unbearable. It can even create psychosis. People go into involuntary Kundalini awakening, and they go into they become institutionalized as well, and they in extreme pain, and even the medications are not helping because the Kundalini is stuck in the head, and extreme heavy pain. That is sun level. It's like the heat of the sun and the heat of fire. What is the heat of sun compared to the heat of fire? So there's different energy levels that can, but someone who's practiced and know how to control this energy in a controlled manner can remove it. So normally in one session I'm able to unblock all 114 chakras in 90% of the people. 10% of the people need multiple sessions, like 3 or 4 sessions, right? There was one person in my last 50 years, right? One person needed 18 sessions before all was completely, and everything was completely unblocked. And he had extreme anxiety, extreme psychosis. He was homeless for 7 years and very deep anxiety. He was feeling like suicidal, right? And he was on all the psychiatric medications, and still it wasn't. The medications were not even helping him. He was feeling anxiety and depression despite having all that, and of course not completely bored of work and so forth. He was also institutionalized for a period, and with the medication he learned to be able to manage and under benefits, permanently for the rest of his life. It's still today is going to be under benefits. And it took 18 days to unblock everything, right? So some people can have extreme trauma and have unblocked all the extreme trauma as well, right? In people's extreme levels, the worst of psychosis that the people can have, right? So this is also possible with the energy healing chakra unblocking, someone who is proficient. Of course, my fees are expensive because I'm very busy, and I've got, the level in which people, depends on what level of energy healing people are, the success rate, and what current clients are currently prepared to pay, and what current clients are currently paying, me as well. But you on your own can do the work yourself. You don't have to go to an energy healer, and get it done in a few days, right, or a month or so. You can do it over time, and not only you're going to remove that extreme trauma of that PTSD, or that you're going to free yourself from other conditioning, and where you can live on purpose. Does it mean you do your breath work and suddenly become successful? No, you have to also do the work in order, to reach success. You must still go. And I always say you have to chop wood and carry water, right? If you don't chop wood and carry water, you're not going to. You have to do the work. You have to do the push-ups. You have to do the workouts. You can't become, the number one champion athlete without practice. It's practice, but what makes the leader better, he's got less or some type of programming that programmed for success, or he's got less programming than others, but you can remove the programming and build yourself to a higher level than what you normally can, to a better level. So I had a professional boxing athlete, right, one incident, and he's been from a very young age, and he was in his early 30s, so he was fighting professionally, means fighting for money, getting paid at the time when I met him, for 17 years. And he trains daily 8 hours a day, right? His training protocol. So normally in his training protocol, his push-ups, he could do, like, his failure point, his muscles fails around 120, and then he takes a break, and then he does his next set and the next set. And I don't know how many sets he does totally, right? But 120 push-ups is his failure point, right? Normally. So he came to me because I used to talk always, we belong to the same social club. I used to go once a week to the social club, because it's good to have some social gathering, meet with people. Right? We used to meet, and they used to provide meals, and I used to talk to them, and some people talk to me, some people don't, and I used to meet other PhD professors there as well, and we got along, and we used to discuss different subjects, so that it's not just me and my video creation and my protocols and so forth, right? Which is something important to do, to have a tribe that you. So he used to also belong to the club, and I used to always talk about energy healing, and the chairman of that club, he was curious about this energy healing thing, right? And I did for him, and he felt amazing after that. And then I felt that if the chairman of the club, he can recommend me other people as well, right? But, and this is how this professional boxer was part of that club. And he heard about me, and he met a beautiful woman. He was in love with this woman. And this woman dumped him, and in his presence went, and started to be friendly with another man in front of him. Having drinks, right? And his heart was broken. He couldn't handle it, right? He went into depression and he said, what is this? Like, how come I can't get over it? Now, then he heard, then he came to me and said, look, I'm willing, I don't believe in all these things, but I'm willing to try this. So, but I don't want to try, in this place. Come, I'll take you and then I'll give you some, I'll give you dinner as well and so forth, treat you to it. And he was like trying to get over it naturally, going and working out, and psychologically he was not, like, it was about 2 weeks and he's feeling like this thing is in the pit of his stomach and he's unable to get rid of it. And he was forced to take, and then I went in, I did the chakra unblocking. And in the one session, and because he's someone who trains regularly, it's very easy for me to do the chakra unblocking for someone who's doing, like someone who practices yoga or practices mindfulness or also who trains professionally. It's easy for me to do the chakra unblocking for them. It took about 30 minutes, I think it was completely unblocked. Man, it was like day and night. And when he saw, I was waiting for him to see the light blue color, right? Because they see the different frequency. The light blue color clears your mind, your psychoses, right? I know, but I waited for all 7 colors of the rainbow for him to see. And then as a bonus, I taught him my breathwork method, the one that, in the Tirumandiram of Tirumula, right? The 16, 64, 32. But I created 4 levels, right? You can go research my videos. I don't want to go and spend another 2 hours explaining how to do that method, right? It is in one of my videos on my, 4-step method, right? So I taught him that. After that, but immediately in that session, he was like feeling suicidal. In that session, he's feeling totally amazing, gone, no anxiety. Even the person that after I finished the 18 days protocol, he said, man, he never felt like that before. That what the medications couldn't bring about. No, I'm not saying the medication is not working. It's this natural method in conjunction with it. So there's a Dr. Dawn Musalem in a podcast, Mel Robbins podcast, that I always mention. She is considered the magic bullet with Mayo Clinic. Mayo Clinic is considered one of the leading private clinics in the US, right? And she is considered one of the leading oncologists, and her nickname is called the magic bullet, right? And she's advocates nutritional protocols as well as natural protocols together with the allopathic treatments in cancer patients, and she's got the highest, very high success rates, right? That's why I call it magic bullet. And she said scientifically she has found that those who combine the natural methods together with allopathic methods increase the success or recovery by between 35% and 450%, right? By combining it. Don't just neglect both, don't neglect your allopathic, don't neglect your natural method. So by combining the two, you're having up to 450%. So this guy, this professional boxer, he could not believe, it was mind-blowing that thing was not troubling him anymore. Instantly in that session, he's feeling totally peaceful, totally calm. Every person that goes through the chakra, once the chakra is completely unblocked, they're feeling so peaceful and calm. Even those not yet completely unblocked, but they're feeling like that calmness overcome them after each session, right? But I know it's not fully unblocked till they see the 7 colors, right? That's when it's fully unblocked. So this guy, when I taught him the pranayama method, within 2 weeks, 2 weeks later, he came to me. He said he cannot believe, he's doing boxing training 8 hours a day. His failure his failure level is 120 push-ups. He can do 200 push-ups now, right? 200 push-ups, 17 years in this one incident, right? I'm not saying this is scientific and this can be across the board. In this incident that happened, right? This is not indicative that it can happen to everyone. And he's so much stronger. He could not believe, right? And after that, I never heard from him because he was so busy in winning fights and getting more fights and climbing the ladder, right? And making money, right? Because he was traveling internationally, with his group. And he's going from Turkey to Brazil and so forth, right? And this method he found is a secret method for strength. So this strength level with the breath work, that not only clearing your subconscious mind, but also giving you physical strength, making you calm, facing life's challenges easier, and you're becoming more centered, more focused. How much more successful can you be, right? That you can move up the rungs. You don't have to be moving on the spot. Normally people say, you are a janitor, you'll always be a janitor. You are a person who, your financial status is that status. You're not going to generally go above that status. You are, an accountant, right? I once spoke to a business owner, and I treat everyone equally, right? And I mentioned to him, no, your accountant said, this and this about your business. Why did you listen to my accountant? He's just an accountant, right? And because the accountant was getting paid, I think about $2,000 a month that he paid, in Dubai. And the business owner, owned about 200 different businesses. One of them being construction companies, restaurants, and florists, and so many services, and the Chevrolet franchise, right, belonged to him. Very wealthy guy, right? He had his own private jet as well. He was very upset why I'm talking, business things about, he said that he's just an accountant, right? So his mindset is that a person on the wealthy class is the wealthy class, and you're born that way. But with the pranya, you can raise yourself to any level. I raised myself from coming from a town, even till this day. That town in that city is not known. Till this day. Few days ago, I used an Uber, and asked the Uber to take me to that town. The Uber driver didn't know. He's a driver. The Uber driver is exposed to the most number of locations, right? A taxi driver should know every suburb. This thing, I come from an unknown town, from a city that's the poorest city considered, from the three major cities of my country, considered the poorest, of the three cities, right? From the city of Durban that I come from originally. And coming from a country, when I was in Dubai, they asked me which country. It's common to ask cliche, which country do you come from, right? I say South Africa. So, okay, that's amazing. So which country in South Africa? So when they're thinking of South Africa, they're thinking I'm saying Southern Africa, the continent, southern part of Africa continent, right? They want to know which country. There's Botswana, there's Kenya, there's Tanzania, and these are all part of South Africa, right? Southern Africa, right? I said, no, my country is called South Africa. It's not clicking. They don't know, right? I said Nelson Mandela, the country of okay, Nelson Mandela. That's the only way they don't know my country, unknown, even Africa. Who considered someone successful from Africa? They always say, the Fortune 500, right? Fortune 500 is the American, right? American calculation, right? The medical science, allopathic, as determined by American scientists, right? And the European scientists, or from the UK, right? These are considered first world. Now I'm from the third world. Africa is considered the bottom of the rung among all the third world countries. The lowest is Africa, right? And they say the poorest is like Ethiopia. People is starving to death, skin and bones, and poverty, and they're sending aid and medical aid and food. I'm coming from that, and and my success is I am a owner of the black metal credit card, where by invitation only you get it, right? And the people who own that card, I asked today ChatGPT, how many percent of the world, because I thought I'm definitely in the top 1% of the earning brackets, right, of the income earners of the world, right? So no, the people who have that is 0,001%. So it's 0,001%. The owners of the black metal invitation only credit card, right? Black credit card. It's not the normal state. Once you're in the highest status, from that status you go to this new invite only status, and you have. So I'm possessor of a black. So usually people like this, it's not. I'm not prepared to disclose my income. I don't want to target and people kidnapping me and kidnapping my children. So, but usually it's not uncommon. People estimate 10 billion. these are people who are in the $10 billion club, right? They are not millionaire club, right? $10 billion and above to unlimited club. There's no club above that, right? This thing. I'm coming from that. So, but what was common is I'm a practitioner of this. I scaled. I thought in that time from that small town to become a doctor is like the top of the ladder, right? When I was in medical school, I found out that a doctor is expected at best to earn, if he's lucky, $1 million a year, right? And I rather go into law because what a doctor struggles and you have to work day and night on call 24 hours, 13 years to study before you can be on that level, specialized level, before you can start earning money. And when you're earning, you're working like a dog on call 24 hours, patient is sick, you have to go emergency operation or something and you're working like a dog, and to have that status and at best earning $1 million a year, that's not sensible. There's rather be a lawyer. A lawyer can earn what the doctor earns in a year. You can earn it in a month, right? Much more and easier. Not working, not studying 13 years to be a lawyer in my country. It's in 3 years you can be qualified, right? Not 13 years, right? And you're having an amazing social life, party lifestyle, entertaining, and getting entertained by very wealthy people, and your clients are wealthy people. And I went into law. I was in 5 years in law, 3 years in medical school, 5 years, in law. And then I found that my clients, I was 22 years old, getting paid, $70,000, right, in US dollar. And I leveraged. I didn't have to do the defense. I paid a leading advocate $2,000. But I was able to command the client because I belonged to that circle. I knew how to, get clients from a top level circle. It's who you know and how you can get the clients. So I said, no, I'm paying people. I can earn $70,000 and I'm not doing any work. I just pay and take the defense took about 10 minutes, right? And I was just sitting back while the guy who was doing the defense was senior counsel. It took him 19 years as a public prosecutor to get the level of experience to become appointed an advocate, and then as an advocate to make a name for himself took him another 10 years, where he's charging $2,000 per appearance, and for him to, this thing, and I'm paying, he's working for me, and I'm 22 years old, right? As a lawyer. I said, this is amazing. But then I thought deeply, hey, the client, when I told him 70,000, I didn't expect him to pay me 70,000. Without batting an eyelid, he gave me the money, right? $70,000. Okay, no problem. He's paying me. People are paying me. So means better than a lawyer is a business owner. These were business owners, right? I said, let me become, a business. When I became a business, I became self-employed. Then I found that I'm just a glorified employee, right? And then, of course, as a self-employed person, I was earning, I went up to $1 million a month, right? It took me 6 years of struggle to change my mindset and so forth, earning less than a janitor or a cleaner or a secretary. I didn't know anyone earning less than me, put it that way, right? Was working and earning money. Even the street sweeper was not, I was earning less than him, right? And for 6 years, while I was self-employed. And then after that, from the 70s onwards, I didn't know anyone, person to person. Of course, there are very many wealthy people. I didn't know anyone that was earning more than me, or earning $1 million a month, right? Every person that I met was earning less than me, right? And then, of course, I went into a bigger market. I felt I was a big, small fish in a big fish in a small pond, went to the international market. So the breathwork method, the meditation method, the practicing the yoga, I've got a 5-minute yoga and meditation program where you starting point. Start with level 1. Treat life like a gaming experience. You are now on level 1. You are on a level. Treat your psychosis, your PTSD as a challenge that you need to overcome. Don't live with it throughout your life. Don't come after 18 years and still living with it. Had you adopted my protocols and methodologies and even my treatment, you can overcome it. There's a very big chance, in my experience and expertise, over 90% chance of overcoming it, right? And especially psychological problems is, I would say, 100% recovery rate that I've had so far, right, in 50 years, right, with psychological problems, terminal illnesses and all. I've had, cases that was not successful, right? But majority, overwhelming majority, over 90%, success rate in my experience, because I was born with a natural healing talent, right? That's how come 50 years, right? But I built on it and I kept building on it. So when you're coming from the esoteric traditions, right, especially from energy, and I widened my knowledge. I didn't only learn from the tradition that I was exposed to. Because I was self-employed, I could afford to travel, spend months at a time going to jungles and learning from great masters, right? From grand masters and so forth. And I had teachers, amazing teachers from across, not just one, from the Eastern sciences, the Middle Eastern cultures, the Far Eastern cultures, the Western cultures, scientific cultures as well, right? Are always measuring what is latest in science, what is in nutrition, what is in a natural protocol, what is in psychology, what is in hypnosis therapy, what is in in ancient Greek, this thing, what is in the Maya tradition of the original Native American Indian culture, the South Indian, South American cultures of the Amazon forest, the Aborigine cultures of Australia. What is this? And studying their cultures, the secrets of it, and practicing, and trying to. People feel I attained the highest level, enlightenment age of 19. That was just like, on that level is kindergarten level. Now you're on that level, enlightened. Now it's the beginning. Is of the higher levels. There are people, I am only master level energy healer, right? There are grandmaster. I thought I can become grandmaster, within 2 weeks or something if I put my mind to it. 7 years later, I went up master level, right? I went up over 700 levels of master level. I didn't know there's so many levels. I can feel the energy levels as you're scaling it up. You start feeling it in your body, right? And still not yet grand. There's so many. This world is such a big world, yoga, meditation, science. And it is really very difficult to explain, and then people say, I want peer reviewed, it must be. Yes, we understand the scammers are, but this doesn't detract from, this is a very deep science, right? And I'm practicing it for so long, and I'm also showing it in my energy healing, right? And I'm doing it remotely, right? So I used to have a promotion for $5 anxiety fix for 10 minutes. Just do a 10 minutes remotely, wherever you are in the world. For 10 minutes, taste it, right? For $5. Because my fee is 100,000 US dollar per session. Say, it's so expensive, and how can is a scammer. But those who say scammer, okay, try 10 minutes, $5, right? I used to say that. And I got no time for that now, even. But I mean, if I got time, someone, whoever dares to challenge me that I'm a scammer, I'll do it, but not free. $5, right? Pay at least the $5. So, I mean, you can afford a coffee in Starbucks, right? And you are challenging me, you can raise $5, right? Find an investor who can lend you $5, right? If you are so broke, right? And pay for it, right? Before, I don't want every Tom, Dick and Harry, you don't pay for it, right? And I don't need your $5. I mean, I own, we can do a live video. I can show you my black metal card, right? And I own that, right? And of course, you can go to my website to see my fee. If you want to talk to me, you can't just call me. No one calls me, and if I see the number, I don't know the number, and the person, unless it's my daughter or close, I know, then I answer. Otherwise, I won't answer without an appointment. To make an appointment is $100,000, right? You pay it. If you don't pay it, no appointment. I'm not going to talk to people. I'm too busy. I don't have time. I don't have 2 minutes. My personal friend, my best friend knows I don't even have 1 second to waste, right? I am so, you're going up on the ladder. So this yoga meditation science is so deep. I am living it, the living example of it and so forth, right? And it's not 100%, but it's a major improvement, especially with psychological disorders, right? With the breath work, if it is not physiologically related, where there's a damage in your brain, or you are born with this, where your brain is deformed, physiologically, it's just a psychological thing, then 100% theoretically is the recovery rate, according to the claim of the science that teaches the science, right? So if you're suffering with PTSD or you're suffering with extreme trauma or other types of general anxiety thing, take up this thing, go and see how to do this breathwork method is going to help you, right? To overcome it. And especially people who are suffering from PTSD and so forth should adopt this in addition to that. I can't, I can't take the breathwork and do 30, replace 30 surgeries that this guy went through. This guy had to go through it. They didn't even know whether he's going to survive, right? And he survived it, right? And the person, my close clients and my closest friends is on medication, and I make sure he goes on and he says, now I'm on the certain medication, I'm not feeling depressed anymore, and I did 100% 114 unblocking all 114 chakras, right? And he's daily talking to me, he's daily connected to my energy, means he can live without it. I said, no, you have a certain level of psychosis. You're only feeling that way because I did everything, unblocked everything, and you're still feeling that loneliness and depression. Sometimes it will used to come and hit him like a ton of bricks. And in that moment, it is so severe that a person can commit suicide. It's dangerous. Suicide, right? And ever since he's been taking the medications, he's feeling fine. He said, now I'm taking the medication for a year. The doctor said after a few months we'll review it, right? I said, you don't do the review, let the doctor review it. And if you remove it, the reason you're feeling okay, you're not cured from it, is because it's blocking that pathway. Remove it, you're going to feel it again. Right? It's like an analgesic. It helps the pain. Do I take drugs? Of course I take drugs as well. My favorite drug is ibuprofen and aspirin. I have sometimes, pain in my muscles and so forth, and I need to take, painkiller, but very mild painkiller. Like people are taking 1,200 milligrams of ibuprofen, right? I'm taking like 250 milligrams, 500 milligrams once a day, right? They are taking multiple times, and it helps me, right? It helps. So I am myself taking, even with my eyesight loss, I'm doing energy healing, and I also, in conjunction with medical treatment. I didn't abandon medical treatment that I'm a master level energy healer. So they say, am I useless because I can't bring back? If I can, the reason why I'm not able to reverse my eye loss, my blindness, is my optic nerve is damaged. If I can fix my optic nerve, means I can reverse age and have the deathless body. For me to have the deathless body, I need to be on Grand Master level where I'm able to levitate. I'm one level away from levitation. I'm on vibration level, right? Where if I meditate, my body vibrates, right? So the next level after vibration level is levitation. So I'm just very close to it, but I can be so close, but yet so far. Maybe my whole lifetime not attain it. So some people from vibration level to levitation level, there is a tradition in the ancient cultures called Sage Vasishta. When he attained his level, the highest level, he said this is his, seventh birth of this thing, or it took him like 1,000 years or seven lifetimes. One sage took 1,000 years, another sage 7 lifetimes to attain that final level, of the levitation level, level. And it takes many, according to his tradition, whether I'm not saying now I believe in reincarnation. I'm just quoting as, because so many people, they can spend the whole time and still not attain. You can be so close, reach vibration level, but not reach levitation level. So there is one person, Ego Kaseov, right? He attained the vibration level, right? Of Kundalini awakening and, this thing, but he's not on, I don't know him to be on a levitation level, right? That he is showing everyone that, he can levitate. Levitation is you just meditate and your body levitates, right? And levitation level is where your body can be transformed into the deathless body, right? And that attaining levitation level doesn't mean you're going to get the deathless body, because the grand guru of Yogananda, the guru of Yogananda, who wrote the autobiography of Yogi, who introduced the Kriya system to the Western world, and made very popular, through yoga. He's not the only one. I'm also practicing the Kriya through my method, right? Inspired by Yogananda's method as well. And one of the teachers okay, let's finish Yogananda. Yogananda's teacher was Sri Yukteswar, who mastered the energy level. So if anyone touched his body when he was in samadhi, you will get electrocuted, right? It's like a heavy shock. But he only mastered the energy body. So Sri Yukteswar's guru was called Lahiri Mahasai. So means the grand guru of Yogananda. He mastered the causal body or the light body. So above the energy body is the light body or the causal body, and he was able to levitate. So even though he was able to levitate Lahiri Mahasai, he never mastered the deathless body. He could, so his guru, Lahiri Mahasai's guru, is the Mahavatar Babaji. Well, there's many Babajis in India, right? So Mahavatar Babaji, that is spoken of in the books, is the guru who mastered the levitation level and got the deathless body, right? According to their claims, right? And what they say. I'm not saying it. So in many people encounter meeting, and me, when I reached a certain level, I also, because he comes into advanced yoga meditation practitioners when they're ready for the higher level, right? When he comes and initiates them as well, to the next level to have the possibility of levitation. So because Lahiri Mahasai was initiated by Mahavatar Babaji, he attained the levitation level, right? Doesn't mean all people initiated by attain the levitation level. I met other people who directly met Mahavatar Babaji, who claimed to have met and was claimed to have initiated by him and never attained the levitation level. So I also in my meditation met Mahavatar recently, about a few months ago, right? And he came and touched the top of my head as a indication that now is the pathway is open for the levitation level and the possibility of levitation level, and the levitation makes it possible for the deathless body level, right? So these are the various levels, right? That can. So how many people have you met that claims to have been initiated by Mahavatar Babaji, right? So Yogananda met him. Meeting him, maybe he can also initiate by his sight, also by his touch, right? So for me, he didn't initiate me by sight because I'm a blind person. I would not have known. I can't see, because he comes on the physical plane, right? And even in the spiritual plane, I try to block off because I don't want to see the spirits. When I became clairaudience, I blocked that off. I don't want to hear the voices of the spirit world and all that, right? So in order for me to understand, and then of course I felt his hand and so forth, right? And then I knew. And then I meditated and get the knowledge. So we get the spiritual knowledge and then we know, right, who it is and so forth. And then we become aware and we open ourselves to that person's energy and then can communicate. We connected with that person, right? So the line of communication between me and that person becomes open, where I'm like, but initiated, but because he is also under someone else's line. There's someone higher than him, right? So, and I am able to connect with very high frequency entities, right? In these things. So I'm the one who's coming and saying, these protocols I'm teaching you, and I'm not saying learn because I'm making this claim. I could be lying, right? A scam artist. But it's written in a book, the Tirumandiram. The Tirumandiram is claimed to be an authentic book that is around 2,000 years old. It's not the very ancient 5,000 or 100,000 years old. It's very recent. Considered a modern day saint, right? Within the 2,000 year period. Verse number 568 and verse number 572. I think it is a way you can purchase it online, this book. I think you can purchase it from the Ramakrishna Center as well. You just search where you can buy the Tirumandiram. You can search it. Why buy the book? Ask ChatGPT, right? Verse number 568, 572 of the Tirumandiram. What he said. So it says, and follow my protocol, because it's very difficult to do the protocol as mentioned there. But I made an easy step by step to attain that level and follow that, follow those protocols and overcome deep embedded psychoses, or have the higher chance, a very strong mind-blowing chance. So maybe I'm talking nonsense, but do I have an intuitive mind? Do I have a creative mind? Do I have some type of knowledge that I'm talking about that seems convincing? Are there people generally who can give the talks on the level that I'm giving? Right? I mean, you got the internet is open, right? And on the level that I'm speaking, and I've got over 1,000 videos, deep dives by AI, science by why I get the AI deep dives on my, it's not just AI talking, AI based on my talk. So I stopped doing the deep dives on my talk because I wanted to create a body of evidences scientifically, that's there in my channel, in covering the most of my lectures that were originally there. The original videos are still there. Every deep dive that's there by the AI is based on an original video by me. So you can search for the original video. And then I said, now I don't need to convince anymore. And then I'm putting it in my book form, in my Kindle. So I'm planning on publishing 1,000 books over. This is my project, my mission. Over the next 25 years. I'm busy writing my 10th book now. The two of the books are in the final stages of editing, almost ready for publication, right? It's just a few hours, before, because I'm doing this myself, self-publishing, through Kindle publishing, right? And it's going to be available in the Kindle version for $4.99. I'm not making it expensive, out of reach, right, for people. So it's almost available for almost anyone, right? So it will have this for everything that from science-based and simplified version, and bringing real life stories, from stories that can be verified by yourself. You can go into Google, verifiable stories for everything that I teach, right? I'm teaching it on that basis from a science-based, simplified, and as little as 5 minutes a day that you can start practicing from for free, right? I've got a 5-minute yoga meditation program which you can download for free from yogawellness786.com, right? My website. You can go there and download that program, right? For free, and start with that and let that develop, and follow my, YouTube, my advices, and I don't gatekeep anything. And I'm planning on creating paid programs because some people don't want to use, because it's free, they don't respect it. So I'm also having the same thing that is there for free on the paid version as well, but affordable level, right? Like $27 and $47, right? The tutorial levels like that you can download, manuals that you can follow with the tests and summaries and so forth for $27, and video, short video trainings for around $47, not $5,000. I was thinking of doing $9,999, right? $10,000 and above. And I don't like to make, I don't work for $10,000 and so forth. Even to earn $1 million and 10 million, this is not what I want to earn, right? I'm not in for me, $1 million and all doesn't make me excited. Get $10 million, I don't need it. I don't need your $10 million, right? If I never get a client to do terminal illness, so forth, I'm okay. I don't need it, right? I'm fine, right? And so forth. So, and I'm telling you from my side that this is something, and not only me, verify it for yourself, check how the University of California has said that the box breathing is going to be helpful for you. Try it for 6 months, right? Through my method. It's worthy, it's not wasting your time, it's not some scam. I'm not giving you a scam protocol, I'm giving you a science-based box breathing method, and based on a 2,000-year-old book, right? Verse number 568, 572, authoritative methodology, not my own invented methodology, that's going to help you with extreme PTSD, to use it in conjunction with the program that you're normally using and the methodology that you're using. But I believe it's going to be, amazing, and you're going to feel a difference and improvement in your life, a very high likelihood of that happening. So thank you for listening to me up to this point. And if someone who's listening up to this point and supporting my channel, means you are a special person, right? I'm not looking for getting high subscribers. I'm looking to have a platform to record this information that I have acquired, that maybe there might be the one person, because I know my niche is a very small niche, right? 3 to 4 in 10 in a million. 3 to 4 in a million is my niche, right? a very small percent, 0,0004%. So even my income level is 0,001%, but the niche that I'm appealing to is 0,0004% is the niche. So that's why no problem if there's, I'm already have 73 subscribers. That is amazing, and I'm creating the videos a little longer to see who are the people. I wanted to create shorter videos and shorts, because it'll help the algorithms of YouTube to make me trend better. I said no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to appeal to the people who's interested in 30-second videos and 2-minute videos and the 20-minute videos. And I want people who's only interested in 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2.5 hour videos, right? And this is the niche I'm appealing to. So I deliberately now, since the last 2 weeks, decided to change the protocol now that I've developed over 1,000 enough videos in my platform, right? The volume and information that is enough to help any person out of any rut, right? And now create and appeal only to this market, right? That's why my videos are long form. And the type of topics I'm talking is not for the, the average person, but also the average person can access it, right? And you can go and research it, right? If the thing, and there are shorter videos in the stored videos, right? If you go and search all the videos and go through some of the shorter versions, the 5-minute ones from the AI, a summary, of the protocols, all the information is available in a shorter form as well, right? In my platforms. So I'm available on this YouTube platform if you're watching, or if you're listening to me on Apple Podcast or Spotify, all under the moniker Osman the Blind Yogi. And watch out for my publications that's going to soon come out in Kindle. And of course my website, yogawellness786.com. I also am trying to blog daily, right? You can find even in a blog format, if that is the methodology. So blogging format, the Kindle, the book format, and the Kindle in Amazon, I'm going to have it also in softcover, hardcover, and I plan on having it in audio format as well. I've already created the protocol to do that, as well as in 10 major languages, the most popular languages, right? Including Spanish, Portuguese, French, Italian, German, Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, right? All the 10 top languages as well, to be available in both written and audio format as well, right? So take care.